Breaker, breaker, good people. This is the Big Heavy, and I hope you're reading me 5 by 5 because regardless of your 20, we're going to talk radio today. So whether you're driving an RV down the road, a Sprinter van, or even a Cluck Cluck chicken truck, I want to give you some of the reasons why I think having two-way radio in your vehicle is a great idea, especially for outdoor pursuits and road trip type activities. Talk you through how to pick a radio for your specific application. And then finally, I walk you through some of the equipment that I use that probably isn't right for the average person that's not a radio nerd. I'll tell you why, and I'll give you some alternatives that make a little more sense for the normal folks out there. So first off, why might you want a two-way radio in your vehicle? Especially in a world where everybody has a tiny computer/communications device in their pocket, it might seem like radio is a little bit of an anachronism and maybe something that's not as relevant as it once was. But in my case, there's call it 3.5 good reasons to have a radio in your vehicle. First off, you're in control of the infrastructure. And I realize that the mobile phone infrastructure is pretty reliable. I'm frankly amazed when I stop to think about the fact that I can pull a smartphone out of my pocket and essentially speak to anyone, anywhere in the world that has a similar smartphone in a matter of seconds. But that infrastructure does occasionally go down. And if you're rolling around in your adventure van, even if you're in a lowly RV like I am and you're out in some super cool state park, maybe somebody in your group has Verizon and they have great coverage, maybe somebody else has T-Mobile or whatever, their coverage isn't so great. And despite the fact that that infrastructure is increasingly ubiquitous, you're relying on what somebody else has created, maintains, keeps running, all that sort of thing. With radio, as long as you have two working radios in your possession, you can talk to folks. That infrastructure travels with you, so there's no issues of coverage as long as you're within range of each other. And it's something that you can control and maintain and keep the batteries charged and all of that. So that to me is the first reason why it's a good idea to have radio. And we'll talk about some of the more mundane applications as well as, if something happens, if infrastructure goes out, having a radio in your vehicles and a few little walkie-talkies that you can give to kids or family members is a pretty good backup routine since you do control that infrastructure. The second reason I really like radio is I think it's superior in a lot of ways for vehicle-to-vehicle communications versus cell phones. And I'll give you a couple scenarios. So first off, let's say I'm blazing down the road, I've got my wife or I've got a friend or someone following me in another vehicle, and I see a rest stop up ahead. I decide I want to pull over and take a little break. So I can dial that other person on my cell phone. It's relatively straightforward these days with things like CarPlay and voice activation. I'm not twiddling around on the phone trying to dial their number generally. Hopefully I'm not doing that anyway since I'm piloting a large vehicle down the highway. I get them on the horn. They answer after a couple rings. They say, hey, let's stop at the next rest stop. They say, cool, we hang up. And then maybe I look down at my fuel gauge and realize I need some gas, or maybe one of the kids has a rumbly in their tumbly and wants to go and get some lunch or something. I gotta repeat that whole process. Dial the number, let it ring, let that person pick up and say, hey, instead of getting off at this rest stop, let's go one exit and grab the gas station. Now that's not, wildly complicated or terrible or anything like that. But with radio, I can simply key up the radio, say, hey, let's get off at the rest stop and take a break. My wife says, okay, sounds good. And then I can key up the radio again and say, hey, on second thought, let's get off at the gas station. It's super quick. There's no dialing. We connect as soon as I hit the button on the radio. And the radio on the other side, assuming it's on and set to the correct channel, is instantly in receive mode. And that vehicle-to-vehicle application gets even better when you have multiple people. Radio is essentially one device to as many devices as are tuned to that channel. So if I have 3 people or 30 people in my group, if I'm doing some caravan, and I've done this a lot on scouting trips, I key up that radio, I say, hey, let's get off at the rest stop. Everyone in the group hears me. There's no group calling, there's no goofing around, there's no text messaging or anything like that. Anyone in the group can respond, and we have near instantaneous communications. Now in larger groups, you gotta be a little sensitive around radio etiquette. If I'm in that group of 30 and everyone tries to respond at once, we'll all talk over each other and have a tough time hearing. But it's really great for those applications of, hey, let's get off at this exit, let's take a break here, watch out for this obstacle, look to your left, there's a moose or something interesting out there. And you don't have to worry about communicating with the entire group or anything like that, since, again, as long as everyone's on the same channel, everyone can hear each other, everyone can talk. Reason number 3 I really like radio is for use at camp. And we do this a ton. We've got 3 kids, one who had a cell phone. Our middle child recently got a cell phone, so we haven't done much camping with her and her cell phone. Our little dude doesn't have a phone yet. And frankly, even if he did, having all your kids running around a park, fishing, paddleboarding, playing in the woods, doing all that sort of stuff with a multi-$100 phone versus a $40 Amazon special two-way radio, I would prefer the two-way radio. And by using radio at camp, we don't have to worry about those infrastructure issues. We don't have to worry if maybe we're in a state park where our carrier has bad reception or whatnot. We don't have to worry about someone dropping a super expensive phone. It's not great if somebody breaks a $40 radio, but it's vastly preferable to a several $100 telephone. And you can get pretty good off-brand radios on Amazon that float, that are relatively waterproof, that are pretty robust. I like a brand called Retevis. I don't have any association with them. I'll link down to their radios in the description. But my kids have dropped those in lakes. They've fallen off bikes and skidded down the pavement and all that sort of thing. And when they've broken, the company's been pretty good about replacing them. And you're not gonna have a 60-mile range, but you will get a good couple miles. And when we're in camp and everyone's kind of running around playing, we're generally all within a couple miles of each other. So not only do you have a less expensive, more rugged device, but you also get those same benefits that you get with road tripping, in that if I'm in the RV cooking dinner, I can key up the radio and say, hey everyone, it's time to come back. Dinner's gonna be ready in 5 minutes. And I communicate to the whole group versus having to call each of the kids separately or send a text message and hope they see that or something like that. Now that kind of half application that I talked about, I said there's probably 3.5 good reasons that I use radio. This one I thought would be a little more compelling. Frankly, it's probably less so than I originally anticipated, and that's using radio for emergencies. This starts to delve a little bit into the radio nerd territory. There's a special radio license you can get called amateur radio. You may have heard this referred to as ham radio. You can use something called a repeater, which you can think of as a giant amplifier. It's an antenna that sits on a mountain somewhere. And I can take something like this little walkie-talkie, hit that big giant antenna, and it kind of rebroadcasts what I transmitted at much more power. So I can reach tens, if not hundreds of miles with my little tiny walkie that usually only goes a couple or 3 miles. And that's all well and good. And I've actually seen radio used in this capacity in emergencies. There's a big storm down in the Carolinas a couple of years ago. And what was interesting to me was I turned on the radio, I'll occasionally listen to see what's going on. And there were folks, literally stranded out in the mountains that didn't have any regular communication. Cellular was all down. And they were doing everything from calling in and saying, hey, can somebody please call this number? Let my parents, uncle, relative, friend, whatever, know that I'm okay. And there were radio nerds sitting on the other side of that saying, yes, taking all that down, contacting those people and kind of relaying messages out to the world. In one case, I heard somebody calling in saying, hey, we've got a pregnant lady here who's about to deliver a baby. Can somebody please get us some help? And there were folks driving around trying to find firemen or EMS to go and send up to this person and get them help. So there is a very legitimate application for radio in emergency scenarios. But most of the emergencies I'm worried about when I'm out in the RV or out goofing around in the woods with kids is dad fell and broke his leg, or we're outside of typical communications and there's some sort of medical emergency. So for that type of application, I think something like a Garmin InReach is way better. I'll link to one of those down below. I have one. I've thankfully never had to use it in an emergency capacity, but essentially sends a message up to satellite and sort of calls in the cavalry for those type of, hey, I broke my leg. Hey, I can't move. I need some legitimate help. And could you do that with radio? Yes, probably, assuming somebody else is listening, but it's much easier for one of my kids to hit a little SOS button on a Garmin device if something bad happens versus tuning to the right frequency, keying up the repeater, doing all that nonsense. So I wouldn't necessarily rely on two-way radio for emergency applications, but I give it sort of half a point in that capacity. So if any of those make sense to you, the obvious question might be, how do I choose the right radio? And it's very easy to go and get confused. There's different frequencies, different bands, all this sort of stuff. Probably the number one shortcut to choosing a radio that I'd give you is figure out who you want to talk to. And if you've got folks you want to talk to that are already radio users, ask them what they're using and get the same thing. It gets a little bit complicated and there's some nuance here that I'm going to avoid, but generally one type of radio can't talk to another type of radio. So if I have a CB and you have a GMRS radio, they're both radios, they both have antennas, they both might look exactly like this thing, but they can't talk to each other for a variety of technical and legal reasons. So if you think GMRS is the best thing since sliced bread, you've got great reasons why it's the superior type of radio, superior frequency, all that stuff. But all your homies have CB radios in their Jeeps and you want to go wheeling with all your Jeep buddies and talk to them while you're out there, get the same radio they have. Who cares about the technology? Who cares whether it's superior or not? If your homies are on GMRS, get a GMRS radio. If they're on CB, get a CB radio. If they're all radio nerds and operating on amateur radio, figure out how to go and study and get your license and get the same radio so you can talk to them. If you don't have that constraint and maybe you're a family man or family woman, you're taking the gang out and doing some exploring in the RV, radio makes a lot of sense to you, I would start with what's called GMRS or FRS radios. And this is US terminology. There's an equivalent in Canada. As far as I know, there's an equivalent in Europe. But it's basically a radio frequency that the government lets the public use. In the US, you need a license. It's like $30. There's no test or anything other than your ability to pay the government $30. Say what you will about the government demanding $30 to use a public resource, but that's a political discussion off to the side. But this allows you to get a relatively powerful radio. You can get those cheap, $20 to $40 Amazon blister pack radios. Again, links down below if you're into that sort of thing. And you can get a bunch of walkie-talkies. We have 5 of them that we just kind of leave in the RV for when we're out in family events or when people are there with us. And you can try out radio. If you're doing a little bit of a vehicle convoy, maybe one of you is rolling in the RV, one of you is rolling in a car or something, those walkie-talkies will get half a mile, maybe a mile worth of range. You can use that to communicate, see if that application of vehicle to vehicle is helpful to you, see if radio is helpful when you're in camp and you're goofing around and having your outdoor fun. And if it's useful, you can put a larger radio in your vehicle, have those walkies for everyone else. And that way you've got kind of that powerful base station type setup in your vehicle and walkies for when you're in camp or when you need to communicate with somebody that doesn't have a radio set up in their vehicle. In terms of what I use, I have a Anytone radio that's in my RV. I'll put a link down below, and this radio allows me to transmit on the amateur frequencies. Again, that's that ham radio thing. You need a special license for that one. You need to take a test that requires you to learn some radio nerd stuff. I think it's useful and kind of interesting knowledge, but I realize taking a test and you actually do need to study. It's not something you can take cold unless you've spent years operating radios. I realize that's not for everyone. In my truck, I have 2 radios due to those FCC constraints. There's a reasonable possibility I might go down to 1 and figure out what to do with those FCC constraints. But I have a Midland GMRS radio. This is the radio I would recommend to most normal non-radio nerd folks if they want to put a radio in their vehicle. It lets you operate on all the GMRS and FRS frequencies. GMRS is that one where you need the $30 license. No test for that one. It's just essentially a tax that the FCC demands. FRS is lower power, similar range of frequencies, but no test required for that one. Nothing special you need there. So theoretically, if you don't want to give the government their $30 of blood money, you can get one of these Midland radios. You can stay off certain frequencies. You can get your family a whole bunch of those little $40 handy walkie-talkies, and you can be set up and not have to worry about anything. If you do want to be able to operate your radios with a little more power, which gives you a little more range generally, you can pay those $30 and that license is good for your entire family. Now, if you want to figure out how to install these things, I've got a video that will either be up there or up there. I can never remember which side those things appear on how I install my radio setup in my RV. I've also got another video that I'll link, on either side up here on how I installed my radio setup in my F-150. So if you happen to have either a Mercedes Sprinter, an F-150, you're in luck. If not, maybe those videos give you some ideas on radio setup, where you mount it, that sort of thing. And hopefully this video helped you make a decision on whether radio makes sense for you. I think it's a great $50, $100 experiment to get a couple or 3 of those little handy talkies, see if they're helpful when you're in camp. And if they are, you can always upgrade and still use those little guys to give to young kids or give to people that are traveling with you or something like that. So hope you found this helpful. Hope radio adds some value to your outdoor adventures, and hope you get out from in front of YouTube and engage in those outdoor adventures. Big Heavy wishing you peace.